It's on? Okay. If everybody could just find their seats, we're going to start, please. So I just want to thank everybody for coming this evening. My name is Ed Meinhardt. I'm the mayor in Livingston. In the back of the room, we have Michael Vieira and Ketan Bhutani, both councilmen as well from the town. I just really wanted to introduce the folks why you came to here. You didn't come to hear me speak this evening. So from Boxcar, we have Joe. I always forget your, okay, the president, and Kevin, I don't know your last name, O'Donnell, also the marketing gentleman. They came to us at the council about last year, November in Atlantic City at the League. We met. And we figured it would be a great thing to bring them to Livingston. It's a service to this town, and maybe we can help all the commuters. And I know there's a lot of issues with commuting from here. It affects your personal, your life, some of the real estate as well. So hopefully we can bring a new option to Livingston. So with that, I will turn it over to Boxcar.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Yep.
Yes. Well, we haven't done anything yet, okay? So don't clap until you hear that. No, we appreciate. That's right. We appreciate the warm welcome. Thank you so much for having us. As Mayor said, we are Joe, Kevin. We're from Boxcar. This is a company that I started 8 years ago to help people commute a little bit better. Our first product was parking. I started by renting out my driveway in Cranford, which was near the train station. And then I started partnering with churches and funeral homes and VFWs, places that didn't need their parking during the week, but were located right near a train station. And we helped them rent out their parking to commuters to free up additional commuter parking, to give you the ability to drop your kid off and still get a parking spot at 8:15 rather than having to get there at 6:45. In 2017, a lot of our customers kind of voiced concerns about their overall commute. And we said, well, maybe we can do the same thing with buses. And what we learned was that a lot of bus companies don't use their buses. If you own a motor coach, if you own 3 motor coaches, 10 motor coaches, turns out you make 80% of your revenue on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So kind of like a church parking lot, you don't use your motor coaches a lot Monday through Thursday. So that was kind of the genesis for starting Boxcar and having this comfortable commute. So we're going to dig into that. Further introduction. I'm from Cranford, New Jersey, went to Berkeley, then 4 years stationed in San Diego, 3 in DC, and I'm back 2 blocks from where I grew up in Cranford, New Jersey. So I am a lover of the New Jersey suburbs. I've got 6 kids in varying levels of school, and I love the suburbs. I think when I started this, I wanted to start something. I wanted to start a company, but I knew that marketplace technology, mobility companies, everybody's looking at the city, right? There's 10 million people running around. There's huge buildings. I like the suburbs. I like 20,000 people in a town. I like 30,000 people. I can understand the pain points, the problems that people have. I can get to know who the decision makers are, and I can kind of give my pitch. And it's very hard to do in a city of 10 million people. I co-founded it with someone, Dan Kelly, who's got kids a similar age. And, we were on the side of the soccer field watching our kids pick daisies instead of kicking the ball. They were 5. They never played soccer again. And he's my CTO. He's built our tech from day one. All of our technology has been built in-house. We got to about $2,000 a week in revenue with just Google Sheets. Handing out flyers at the train station, getting people to park in churches, arranging it that way, taking checks or credit cards over the phone. And then we built a dead simple app with just the ability to create an account and reserve parking. We didn't build a lot of whiz-bang features in the beginning, and when we got 50 requests for canceling parking a week manually, okay, we built a button to do that. And our app has evolved over the last 8 years through about 1,500 new features, really just to serve our customers, to show the bus tracking on GPS, to make sure that we can instantly message all of our customer base who needs a relevant update on a tardy or bus issue the moment that we learn about those issues. Kevin O'Donovan was an intern for us 3 years ago, and I'll let him introduce himself.
How's it going? I'm Kevin. I interned for Joe going into my senior year at Loyola, Maryland down in Baltimore. And come that time in January where every senior in college no longer realizes the party's over and real life is coming, I got an email offer for Joe in the middle of working on my resume. And 2.5 years later, I still don't have a resume. So I've loved working for Boxcar. I do not love working for commuter hours. As a college kid, I did not know I would have to get up at 5 a.m. and go to train station platforms. Transit was not my passion, but it has become my passion over the last 2.5 years working on Boxcar, being able to see the difference that we make in the world. And as a young man, it is an extremely rewarding job and position, and working for a transportation company can actually be fun.
All right, thanks, Kev. So we've got a team. We are on service from 5 a.m. until 9 p.m. So we are tracking every single bus. If a bus is running 5 minutes late, you are going to get a text message that is running 5 minutes late. If something is causing an issue, you are going to find out about it the moment that it is relevant. Everybody is in the office. We do not have a remote team. We are all working together. They'll come into the office after their 5 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. tracking session. And we'll at least spend 2 hours together. So we're a very close-knit team, and we work well together. For your purposes, you don't really need to know all the back end. We're a bus company. We're a bus company who's thinking about serving your town, right? So we take people from Livingston, and we take them to New York City, and we take people from New York City, and we bring them back to Livingston. So that's the simple pitch. We have 6 routes, and we serve 26 towns throughout New Jersey. We started off with 1 bus in Madison and Chatham. We are now up to, so it's 1 bus, morning only. We are now up to 18 morning buses and 18 evening buses in Madison and Chatham. When we come to Livingston, whether it's this year or whether it's in 2035, like we'll come here eventually because Livingston is a town that makes sense for Boxcar. I can tell you that already. Whenever we come here, we will probably start pretty small. We'll probably start with 3 morning buses, 3 evening buses. And we will do everything within our power. We know that we're going to be losing money every day. We're going to do everything in our power to fill those buses up. We're going to give you free rides to start. We're going to ask you to refer friends to get a $50 credit. We're going to do all this marketing. Your kids' soccer and baseball teams are going to have Boxcar on the back of their jerseys. We're going to do everything we can to get the word out to try to fill those 3 buses up with paying customers so that we can add a 4th and 5th bus in the morning and a 4th bus in the evening. So these are the routes that we serve. I know that we have 13 people on a daily basis who ride us from, I think 3 are picking up in Summit, and then a couple in Millburn, Maplewood, and South Orange who drive from Livingston today to ride Boxcar. So we're considering adding Livingston service. We once tried Livingston service, yes.
Is that on Route 46?
This would be
Bloomfield, the one.
Bloomfield Ave.
Right. Is that Route 46 or not?
No.
No. Okay.
No, we're not. Closest we get to the north, you mean?
Right. I mean, if it's not goes through the Willowbrook Mall.
Oh, I wouldn't. This is just a example route. You mean the orange Livingston route?
No, the blue. Let me. This road. We're on this one. What's this?
Yes, that is Bloomfield Ave, West Caldwell, Verona, all through Bloomfield Ave.
Bloomfield Ave. Is that same thing? Is that Route 46?
We'll take it offline afterwards. I don't know if it is. So we came here in 2018. Did anybody here commute on our bus? Or does it ring a bell for anyone?
Yeah, we had one thing to South Orange, right?
So our bus ran 2017, the same time that we ran. We started in Madison, Chatham. They started here in a couple of other towns. And then in 2018, a year later, they called us up and, we were friends. We were, kind of friendly competitors. And they said, we're trying to switch to inner city service. Would you like to take over our route? And we took it over for a month. And, we had these ideas that it was really, we had to keep it very simple. Only 4 or 5 pickups max so that we can make up time between those pickups and get into the city fast. We've since learned, right? We've since took over all of DeCamp's routes when they stopped commuter service. And we learned that we can't take a DeCamp style service that people are used to, which has 38 stops, and turn it into a 5-stop pickup. In Montclair, the Caldwell's, Verona, people are used to walking to their stops. They don't have these centralized parking pickups. So, we've learned since then, and we launched DeCamp with 33 pickups, and that now has 260 to 300 riders a day on it, and it's worked out. So that's how we would tackle this. That was a mistake that we made back then, and we've learned a lot and improved our technology a lot since then. So yeah, we've done over 1 million rides, and we've had over 1 million rides worth of learnings since 2018, since our first abortive attempt to serve Livingston by taking over the route from our bus. This is a familiar commuting process. So from your perspective, you will download the Boxcar app. If we were here, you would book a ticket. You would board a bus, and you would arrive at work. So book a ticket, board a bus, arrive at work. So far, nothing really different from the way that you're doing things today. We're going to get into a few unique things that we have. First, you are going to select your route. You are going to select your origin and your destination, and then you're going to book a time. So this is much more like booking an Amtrak. So on an Amtrak, you are going from Metro Park at 9:28 a.m. You can't take that ticket and get on an 8:28 or a 10:28. So Boxcar has reserved seating in that regard. So you are guaranteed a seat as a result of this. Now, you as a member, 95% of our tickets are sold to members, and we'll get into that in a minute. You're able to cancel your ticket 15 minutes in advance for a full refund. But if there's 56 seats on a bus, we will only ever sell 56 tickets. So you don't have to worry about this bus arriving and then it being standing room only, or having the driver just drive by because they've already done their standing room and they're not allowed to board anymore. You will see a remaining seats. So you will, okay, this is very cool actually. When you are booking the 6:01 a.m. out of Chatham, you'll see how many seats are remaining on your bus. So if you want to take a bus that has a lot of empty seats, maybe you take that 546. And then, as it gets full, you will see what days are running, which ones are completely empty. And then you will also see each time you book when it arrives at your destination. And this is based on the last 500 runs that bus time has done. So that'll get dialed in over time as we start running buses, and that will get it to be a better and better time. So you'll choose your origin, Chatham train station in this instance, New York, Bryant Park in this instance. You do have real-time bus tracking in the app. So not only are you able to see exactly where the bus is at all times, you're able to see what its arrival time is based on its current physical location and real-time Google's distance matrix API, which is the real-time traffic analysis. So you'll be able to see that this bus is at this location, but based on that location plus the existing traffic in real time, when it is going to arrive to your pickup. And then more importantly, you will be we have two-way SMS. About 90% of our customer service is done via SMS. So you will get a text message if your bus is running a few minutes late, and you can reply, and a human being will reply to you. We do like to stick to newer buses. All of our buses are equipped with Wi-Fi, higher-end seats, tray tables. They are all climate controlled. If you have a bus that does not have air conditioning, you are riding for free that day. That is an insurance policy that we offer all of our riders, and they all have power outlets at the seat, and they do have bathrooms on board. This is one of the most beneficial things and amenities of the Boxcar service, is that we drop off at 42nd and 8th, right outside Port Authority. Then we continue, so we do take the express bus lanes into New York. We drop off at 42nd and 8th, then we drop off at 42nd and 6th, then Madison and 43rd, 47th, 52nd, 57th, 67th, and 71st. So when the pandemic came around, before the pandemic, we only went to 57th, but by September 2020, when we were running buses again, and they frequently had one or two people on them, most of those people at that point were just working at the hospitals up in the 60s and 70s, so we added those stops. But this is really, there's traffic, right? We can't say that we're going to blaze across 42nd every day and up Madison Avenue. There are bus lanes on both 42nd and Madison, and so you go a little bit faster than the cars, but we can promise that you're going to be waiting in a comfortable environment with Wi-Fi and power outlets and a seat, guaranteed seat, as you make your way across to the east side. So, that's kind of the Boxcar difference in terms of the arriving and When we look at the evening, it's kind of similar. So our first pickup in the evening is on 57th and Lexington, and then we go to 52nd, then 47th, then we pick up right in front of Grand Central under the Pershing Street Bridge, then we pick up Bryant Park at the Grace Building, if you're familiar with that, then we pick up at Dallas Barbecue, right next to Times Square, and we rent the downstairs of Dallas Barbecue so that you can wait inside the Dallas Barbecue area while you're waiting for the bus. Yes?
The Grand Central one is across the Pershing Bridge one?
Yes, it's just a few yards to the east of the Pershing Bridge. Yeah. So membership. So if you download Boxcar's app today, you're going to see general round trip tickets go between $42 and $48. Members save 33%. So we try to run our buses at break even. And we try to make all of our money that we can use to offset our operating expenses with membership. So as soon as we break even on running buses, we generally add another bus. To peel back the curtain a little bit on our economics, we pay $1,500 a day for a bus to the bus companies. We get 3 runs per day out of that bus. So a bus might look like, a bus and a bus driver might look like a 5:30 a.m. pickup, and then dropping off in New York, and then a second pickup at 8:10 or 8:15 a.m. in the morning. And then that bus would do its third run at 5 p.m. straight out. Or it might be doing something like a 7:05 a.m. pickup, and then a 4:20 and a 7:10 p.m., right? So that's how you start to layer in 3 in the morning and 3 at night. And then, as we get more riders, we're able to break even on those runs, we're able to add more. So membership is $40 a month. You save 33% on all tickets. So if you go in 2.5 times a month, it pays for itself. And in towns where like Chatham and Madison, where we have been for a long time, we have over 10% of households who are members. Members are also able to cancel later and book further out. So if our buses are sold out, which they can be, members can book out further than non-members.
Question.
Yes.
95% of tickets sold to members, is that a fact or is that a policy?
No, that is an observation of the ticket sales that we have on a regular basis. Yep. So membership, a membership, $40 a month, and your round trip commute is going to be somewhere between $26 to $32 a day, depending on the route, and it'd be lower here to start.
You said $40 a month?
$40 a month is a membership that then allows you to save 30. So instead of paying, $42 for a round trip ticket, you are paying $27 for a round trip ticket, but you're paying for that $40 a month.
You mean $40 a round trip?
$28 round trip, $40 membership fee to save money on each ticket.
Oh, I see.
To
Okay.
save,
That's the membership fee.
$13 on each ticket. Yep. Yes.
Do you see the economics working out where the round trip would drop over time?
So the question is, would you see the economics work out where the round trip could drop over time? We have seen with the economies of scale, it's very hard. So $1,500 a day for a bus, 3 trips per day, right? 1 to 2 of those trips are usually going to be high volume trips. So like a 7:05 a.m. would do 56, like we could sell all 56 seats on that bus. So that could bring in, $15 per seat. It could bring in $780, $800. You're like, oh, well, that's good. That's, over halfway there. But then a 4:10 p.m. and a 7:10 p.m., you might only get, 15 riders on those. So what we've found is that we've been able to offer much lower prices on less attractive runs. So we've the pricing will look like, in a bell curve, where like the 7:15 a.m. bus is priced higher, but the 5:10 a.m. is priced at 2/3 of that, and the 9 a.m. bus is priced at that. And so same thing in the evening is that in order to break even and then be able to afford to run more buses, to take on another $1,500 a day expense, we have to be able to unfortunately, like squeeze as much revenue as possible from those peak buses so that we can add more and it's not just 3 in and 3 out forever.
You're gonna subsidize the less costly trips from where you are, from the peak traffic ones.
Correct. Yeah, so we know that people want that 7:05 a.m. bus. Maybe they'll ride it 2 to 3 days a week, and then that 3 p.m. bus leaving New York, heading home, maybe it's something that they use less frequently.
You have senior discounts?
So we don't have senior discounts. No, so it's
Do you run on the weekends and on holidays?
we don't run on weekends and holidays. We do look at doing this in Montclair, where they're really desperate for it, where they're a bus town and they don't have a lot of trains. But it's going back to that original thing that I mentioned, we have, the one thing that we have going for us is that we're using these buses on the slow days for the bus owners. So if we're paying $1,500 a day today, it might be twice as much or something like that to use it on a Saturday.
Well, I'm sure you know that the coach who runs now to Livingston does have senior discounts and also does not run on the weekends or holidays.
Yeah.
So there's a big room there for expansion. So if we, for instance, want to go into New York to see a show or something on Saturday or Sunday, there's no bus.
Yeah.
And you will not be providing that bus either, correct?
It's really a chicken and the question is like, will we be providing a weekend bus? It's really a chicken and the egg situation where we can't start with the routes that make the most sense are the ones where if we can find a seat and a customer, that customer is using that seat 180 days a year, right? Because there's a customer acquisition cost of marketing, whereas the weekends are, that customer may only use it 20 or 15 times a year because of how many shows they go into or how many dinners they attend. So what we would have to do kind of first is really focus on those customers whose patterns or commuting patterns are dependable and habits are dependable, and then saturate. And then 5 years, everybody knows the word boxcar. They say, of course, we're a boxcar town, and did you know that they started running evening service into New York? Like, this is what we're doing now on the Morris Media route. We like to name our routes. The Morris Media route is now getting evening service into the city on weekdays. Now, that took a couple years to get there, but we're starting to run for people who want to go into the city for dinner on a weekday, and they're also getting the Wednesday matinee service as well. Yes.
How will you decide the pickup locations within town?
That's a great question. How will you decide the pickup locations in town? And that will bring us almost, is the next slide our survey?
Timeline, but.
Got it. So that's timeline is even just as appropriate. So we are now circulating a survey. You may have seen it. I know that the social media for the town has shared it, but we're going to have a link to it shortly. So we would then take that, create a route, and present to Livingston Township, and kind of await a launch date. Some of these, this might be an express service, but it might serve the arena as well. Like, it really is going to be dependent on survey feedback. Not just survey feedback. If you have something to say and we can't take it all in tonight, you can't get it out tonight, and you fill out the survey, we would love to get on a 10-minute phone call with you and understand all the history of your commuting and where the different things that you've tried. Kevin's a special, this is Kevin's specialty. He loves, but we really enjoy this stuff. So Boxcar is then marketing. So say that we were launching in December or January, we would just be hitting that marketing pipeline, really talking to people, trying to get people to advocate, to tell their friends, to sign up, here's your free rides, and then we would be launching. So we would be adding more capacity after, of course, this is our best town launch ever, and all the buses are full on day one. We are quickly adding capacity to accommodate everyone's needs and getting all their times. So Kevin has some flyers, and if you want to hand them out or take pictures of them and send them to friends in your neighborhood group chats, we are in survey collection mode. You wrote us in 2018, didn't you? Our bus, I feel like, yeah.
By accident, there was something, the Livingston passed.
Okay.
I read it by accident.
All right.
I thought there'd be more people here.
That's all right. Well, so this is a survey. It is really just trying to find out how people commute. We've got a good idea. Like we've did this 8 years ago, but we really want to get the spots, the pickups right, and understand truly like whether this additional cost is worth it for reliability, east side access, because we don't want to do this if it is not, if it is not going to work. Yes.
So kind of a follow-up to my first question, not to kind of lean on that point, but do you see a way or any negotiation with your bus companies to lower your operating costs? Because clearly I understand that all of us, if we ride the bus, we have to offset the operating costs. But I think one of the biggest things you guys are going to run into, just point of feedback, is the cost aspect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the convenience is great. I'm curious, like, if it goes down, it becomes more of an option.
Yeah. So on cost, I think we are still wandering through like the wilderness. That we are going to look back at the first 8 years of our company, or 9 years, or however long it takes us to reach an oasis, and say, how in the world did we ever break even doing that? There are other revenue sources that will make us more attractive to commuters, and will also balance our business so that we're not constantly worried about, taking on an expensive expansion, knowing that it's going to lose a lot of money until it gets to break even. And so some of those things are like, we've started to hear whispers from other governments about subsidies, and not like the existing subsidies that you've heard about where it's, we're going to pay you this many hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and you're going to do this, but more one that allows us to kind of jumpstart, that incentivizes us to get as many riders on board as possible, that still incentivizes us to go market efficiently and to build new features to make things better, to be on the ground and to expand intelligently. Other things that like we are cooking up constantly behind the scenes is we are constantly calling people to try to use the buses during the day, right? This is like the last frontier of commuter bus operations is what can you do with a motor coach during the day that's already on the road? And, if you want to start a tour company, if you know somebody who has one, we'd love to use that. And things like that are things that we're constantly pursuing because we do believe that we can find a better use, that there's always more efficiency that we can gain. But we also think that we can't buy buses. We're not interested in buying buses. Companies develop a DNA, and we've gotten very good at customer service and technology and marketing. And if we had all this capital equipment sitting around, it would help our margins to begin with. But then I think we would probably devote more of our time towards the capital equipment to the buses than we would to the customer. And I just always want our company to be just built around the customer and nothing else. So it's unfortunately the cost of doing business. But we'd love that feedback in the survey too, and just talking more about it specifically. Yes.
So at the end, to launch this program in Livingston, what's the decision point? Is this solely your business decision, or you need our town of Livingston approval to?
Well, yeah. So question is, what is the sort of trigger for us to actually launch service? So it is a successful survey. And surveys are interesting, right? Like we launched in 2017 handing out surveys, and then said, oh my gosh, this is going to be the most successful business in the history of the world. Everybody said they're going to pay $50 a day and they're going to ride us 7 days a week. And we launched, and it turns out people like filling out surveys if they give an answer and it means they get a new service they can use once in a while. So we've learned a lot about surveys, and now we, into camp when they failed, we had 1,200 people who were like tier 1, A1 leads. Yes, I work on the east side along your route. Yes, I commute at this hour. Yes, I would be willing to pay that. And we launched a service with 10 morning buses and 10 evening buses. It was huge. It went from 0 to 20 buses a day, right? All in the space of a single day that the camp failed. And, we had 150 riders, right, of the 1,200 respondents. So surveys are tricky. We take them all with a grain of salt. We do need the town's approval. We're not like early Uber, Airbnb. We're never going to go somewhere that doesn't enthusiastically want us because it is expensive to us. So town's clearly very supportive of this idea. And then, we would submit a public safety, a route plan, a pickup plan to the public safety team, the police and the traffic department, and make sure those get approved. But yeah, it really is a question of getting to understand the demand, both from the data perspective of the surveys and also the phone conversations. And maybe we'd have another one of these, right? Like we would host another one. This is the core group. These are the people who are taking time out of 8 p.m. on what is this? Well, thank God it's Friday. Okay, so on a Wednesday night to get to show up, and then maybe the next one we're at the Livingston Standard, and we're buying some appetizers, and you're all bringing 5 friends each, and we're having more of a conversation, kind of like talking about the brass tacks. So that's a long-winded answer to say that we've only done this 6 times, launch a new route, so we don't really know. We don't really have the firmest process.
Look at the geography of the town before you decide to launch in a town, because for example, Montclair had 2 main roads, right? Like it had Valley and Grove. It's easy. I used to do decamp. I did decamp for a long time, and then it went under after the pandemic, right?
Yep.
But Livingston is very spread out, and there are so many main roads and there are inroads, so it's very difficult, I feel. So do you have any of that in your mind when you're doing this?
Yeah, so those would be some questions now, is what is the difference between the ideal route and the existing route that other buses have used, right? And where is the density, and finding even going through the history, you grew up around Livingston Center, as a town, and that had a public service trolley, which they ripped up in the 40s or 50s. But the density does seem to be along that corridor, and then now you have some larger developments as well. We'd call them luxury housing. What was the one? Sterling Properties.
That's over by the mall.
That's over by the mall. So, and then the other thing is that we do have this parking component as well. Now, I know that people like to walk to their bus stops, and that makes total sense. But, by partnering with I think on Northfield, there's a church as well as a synagogue. By partnering with properties like that, we're able to go and, we just did this in Ridgewood recently, where people say, I wish I could ride your bus, but, I can't park anywhere in Ridgewood. Well, we, partnered with the Ridgewood Women's Club right along the route, and it's $3 daily parking. And, now we've got 20 people a day parking there, and they're able to get right on the bus, and we add a bus stop. So, it is, we want to be as neighborhood friendly as possible, being able for those people who work along, who live along a route to be able to get there. But we would also work with, the town, ask for some introductions, or for you, ask, could you introduce us to your pastor if you happen to be a member of this church, or your rabbi if you happen to be a member of this synagogue, and they might be able to make 60 parking spots available Monday through Thursday. So that helps with the route planning when we can add that parking component. Yes?
I have 2 questions, actually. The membership, does it have to be month to month, or if 1 month I'm going into the city and then the next month I'm not, do I have to pay the membership every month?
Nope. You can cancel the membership anytime. So a lot of people cancel in August, and it triggers another question. We do take pre-tax benefit plans.
That was going to be my second question.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Mark it down. We're recording this, right? So yes, so everything but the membership can be paid for with your pre-tax benefit plan. Okay. So we take WageWorks, Commuter Check, Transit Check, a bunch of them. Okay. And per IRS regulations, we are not allowed to bill the membership to your pre-tax benefit plan. So that has to be billed to a personal credit card of some kind.
Awesome, thank you.
Pleasure. Yes?
So I've taken Boxcar before from a couple times to go in from South Orange. The way back doesn't work because it gives you
it goes Short Hills first.
Very tour of Short Hills and Melbourne and all that. So I default back to train. I think the a couple of things that really truly help our express service from a point here to Mid-Town East. I think usually few people, but this Wednesday evenings at 8 a.m. there's a lot of people. You'll for sure get a quorum. I think parking is a really good point. And Livingston is fairly spread out. So figuring out one or two places where people could park and ride is key to success. And one such used to be Livingston Mall. I'm not quite sure if one could park there or not with the development.
You don't want to park there. You don't want to park there. I don't mean to interrupt, but the one thing I was going to say before, when I first met them, my thought would have been, I'm not a commuter, but my thought was, and we can still work on this, is to use, there's a lot of empty parking spot at the Verizon Center at the Circle. I thought if people could park there, and the bus could go from there, they go right on Eisenhower, and go right on 280. I thought that would be, again, we talked about this, I'm just saying, this was my first idea when they came to us. I think that's the fastest way, you can fill up a bus, you don't have to go through any towns of Livingston, because you're right, it's spread out, and you go this way, and that way, someone else mentioned, I agree. But the idea would be, if we can get one of those spots, a spot over there to, maybe the person who owned it would give it for free, maybe they would charge $1 or $2, I don't know, fill up a bus, right on Eisenhower, and you're on 280 in 2 minutes, and straight down 280.
Where I was headed with that was, how long do you wait? Because I get many emails from you. This route is profitable, this is not, but we're running it. If you do start here, how long do you give for it to become profitable? Because it might not be from the get-go. If you're taking October, and then December would be half the month most people don't go.
Yeah, that's a great question. Question for those watching at home was, how long do you wait for a route to get profitable before you make a decision? We have not abandoned a route since Livingston, but we really didn't go into it with all of the knowledge that we needed to be successful here. And it was kind of thrust on us, right? They said, hey, we're ending service on July 15th. Do you want to take it over or not? We said, well, we'll try it for a month, sure. But we did not deliberately come here. It was just because somebody else abandoned their service. So we like to break even within, well, the last two are kind of unique because one was the camp shutting down, and we launched with, 20 runs a day, right? So it wasn't our normal launch. The last normal launch we did, because South Mountain was similar, the South Mountain special down in Milburn, Short Hills, Maplewood, and South Orange was, the catenary wires went down in December of 2024. A tree fell on the catenary wires and the trains were down for 3 days. So we also went really big at the start, and we tried to maintain a big schedule in January after we did that. So the last normal 2 buses, 2 motor coaches, 3 in the morning, 3 at night, we got to break even about 4 months in, and that's kind of where we would like to get that to break even. And of course, then we swung to a loss because we added a 3rd motor coach, right? We added another 2 runs in the morning and 1 run at night. So you had 5 in, 4 out. And this is not just because we want to grow or make more money necessarily. We'd like to make money, but it's really because the transit network, the value of a transit network doesn't scale linearly in relation to the frequency. It scales exponentially in relation to the frequency, right? So the difference between an hour between buses or 30, is not, it's not half as good as 30 minutes between buses. It's more like a tenth as good as 30 minutes between buses, right? 15 minutes between buses is not twice as good as 30 minutes. It's more like 5 times as good as 30 minutes. Like if you know that there's a bus every 15 minutes, so the sooner you can get there, it's not just about taking people who are currently taking or trying to give a different offer to people who are taking community coach today, because honestly, the ridership numbers are a tenth of what they were 10 years ago from Livingston, right? So it's not just about saying, well, here's an alternative with some unique, different aspects to it, but it's about saying, what could be? Like the people who are riding community coach today, for every one of them, there are 8 people who are driving to the train station in Brick Church or driving to Harrison or South Orange or something like that. They've given up. Right? So it's more about looking at how do we get back to a place where this area used to be served by DeCamp and community coach and the NJDOT and PSE&G trolleys and and this was a mobility-oriented town. So that's really, short term, it would be get some buses in, get some buses out, but long term, have a lot of service.
Awesome. So I'll stop talking. It's a couple other ways, and you got it right. I was just going to say, it should work. You're competing with 2 or 3 suboptimal options. There is a bus service that doesn't work. There is pretty much a drive and a monthly parking, and then after that you'll deal with engine transit and Penn Station, or you drive to Valley Center. This should work. I think as far as you have some patience to make 1 or 2 routes work from Livingston, it's bound to work.
Yeah, and just to jump in there, I commuted 20 years
Yeah.
from Livingston to New York City, and the given up point is
Yeah,
right on spot. I've given up on the coach buses, I've given up on PATH, I've given up on transit, but then you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to have a secure seat and to know where the bus is. When you start walking from home to your bus station is unique. I think that is what we on the council, we felt that is something.
You settled between the same 3 bad options for years, because you know the good options.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm gonna put in another twist, but instead of taking no for an answer, I just ask you, I'm gonna rephrase the question. There was a question about weekend service, and I can understand there's a problem with the economies of scale, et cetera, et cetera. Well, why can't you use, is it Kevin? Yeah. Kevin, to do a research for a pilot project. I'm willing to bargain, instead of a weekend, try Saturday. We have a couple here that wants to see a show, but I'm saying even if you have 2 or 3 buses, in addition to the people who want to see a show, there are people who live in this town who want to go see relatives, they want to go shopping, and the problem is when their relatives want to come back or whatever, it's a little bit difficult because there's no weekend service. And my suggestion to you is maybe have some sort of a pilot program. You got maybe 2 buses, so for those people who went to see a show, okay, they're obviously going to come back. And I think in regards to transportation, I think one of the problems is people need to know that you exist, that you're dependable and affordable. And I think once you get that out, that's where you will get customers. And I guess I have a vested interest here because I've been in this town since '67. And if you've noticed, if you go around Livingston, I was on the committee 40 years ago. We helped get the bus shelters. So I take a little bit of responsibility for that. But I do think that for the general public, if you can show them, and I didn't read the paper, so as I said, I found this by accident. But I think if you get the word out or buy flyers or whatever, there'll be more people here the next time. But just consider, if you can't do Saturday and Sunday, theater people, show people, movie people, then there are also people who are caregivers or who are domestic workers. Sometimes they want to go home on the week, and I know they must have a problem because they probably have to get New Jersey Transit to go to Newark. But I couldn't guarantee. I would suggest that there is a market out there, and once people know that you exist, I think that'll be half of the game.
Well, I appreciate it. We're only somewhat good at what we do now, and I'm nervous about trying something new, but we will.
I just wanted
it's
to
not
plan-
the first time we've heard it, and
Plan-
I appreciate the push. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, as we said in the Navy.
Just consider it.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments, tomatoes to hurl? No, just, well, I appreciate you all coming out. We're very passionate about this, and, after your work time and your home time, this is the 3rd largest time sink of your day, commuters, right? Like, if you think about it, you're spending 2 to 3 hours a day on this commute to transition from one place to the other, and you're busy at work, you're trying to be great at what you do, busy at home, you're trying to be great at who you are there, so you shouldn't have to stress about this, and that's the one thing that we can promise you won't do.
What do you do if, God forbid, bus breaks down?
What do you do if the bus breaks down? Yep, that's a great question. Buses break down. We have extra buses at the companies that we manage, but it's a bespoke situation. Thing is, we have one person constantly monitoring from 5 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and then from 2:30 to 8:30, 8:45 p.m. And then we have a backup person who's on watch on a weekly basis. So that person is a little more experienced, and if there's ever anything like that going on, that person gets called in, I get called in, Kevin gets called in, we're all focused immediately on this one problem, and we figure it out, right? Sometimes it's 30 minutes, but you know, you'll get, as a passenger on that broken down bus, if you're on board the bus, you'll get a link to track your new bus on GPS, so you can at least know exactly where it is on its way to you. And then if you're not on that bus, the bus isn't running. I'm sorry, like you have to get a full refund. But you know, if a bus ever doesn't run for us, that's a really big deal. Like, we will run our schedule every single day. If a bus is running 6 minutes late, we don't like to do that more than once or twice a week, right? If we see that's running 6 minutes late, we'll change the loop time so the 5:30 doesn't loop to an 8:10, it loops to an 8:18 or 8:20, so that there's no more delays again going forward. But yeah, we always say, in the absence of perfection, communication. So if you know that your bus isn't running, but you find it out 90 minutes beforehand, that's not really a bad day for you, right?
So you do have like buses stand by?
We do. Our commute looks very smooth on the surface, but like a duck, it's just crazy underneath, because something can happen. Somebody can sideswipe a mirror at 3:30 p.m. with somebody going into the city, and that bus is out. You can't drive with a sideswipe mirror. So we will be moving 5 drivers and 3 buses around place to place, and from your end, you know, the bus is on time, it picks you up on time, but you know, to the extent that things actually need to get canceled once in a while, you find out as early as possible.
I think this transparency adds a lot of value to this service, because I think one thing that makes people mad is, you know, going to bus station and not knowing when the bus is going to come, whether the bus is already left. When is the next bus going to arrive if I have already missed this one? Who knows? Timetables don't have any meaning anymore.
Yeah, that, just for a note, that is one odd downfall of Coach. They have GPS, and the dispatcher has it, but they don't give it to the driver. And the answer to that is, we don't know why. But the people who make the decision should tell us why. Because, and just, again, as a note, like, you're standing in the Port Authority, is 5 o'clock coming, is the 5:20, it's coming. Where the hell's the bus? If they look on their iPad, they're like, don't worry, it's coming.
That sounds like the
Tell me where the bus is, let me know.
If I as a commuter know the bus is coming in 10 minutes because I can see it, it's a lot different than, you know, it comes when it comes.
Yeah, if you ever see people, and maybe you are these people, but you know, in the mornings, like just like looking to the left, right down the street, like, is the bus coming? Like, that's like stress. It's like the physical manifestation of stress. You're wondering, like, is today the day, as you look down the street and the bus still hasn't turned the corner and you can see it, is today the day like it was, you know, 2 months ago where the bus doesn't come for an hour? Is today one of those days and you're stressing, you're not confident, and you have to, you know, protect your confidence as a commuter, as a worker. Yes?
Quick question. Evening, what time is your last bus from Midtown East to come to anywhere in Jersey?
7:50 p.m. So that's the last one.
And it's like regular 5:36.
To start, again, it would be 4:30, 5:30, 7:25, right? Because that 4:30 has to drop off in Livingston, make another loop. Then the second one, you know, the third bus we would add would do another 2 loops in the morning, like a, you know, 5:30 and a 7:50 in the morning, and then it would do a 6:30 in the evening. So then you would have 4:30 to 7:30, 1 hour apart. And then we just keep on layering in, so that you go from an hour to 45 minutes to 30 minutes to hopefully 15, like Madison and Chatham. Yes?
So I have a question. So if I miss a bus, miss the Livingston bus in the evening one day, and I figure out that, oh, but there is a Summit bus, then probably 15-20 minutes later, then do you allow us to book that bus, and does the monthly membership include to take another bus? Because that's even valuable, because once we come to New Jersey, we could take Uber or like ask someone to pick up, like, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of that that happens now. That is probably, now that we do show the bus GPS, that got rid of our biggest customer service question on a daily basis. That's probably our biggest one now, is that, and it's a feature that we'll probably add, which is switch my ticket. But in the meantime, it's, hey, what's your name? Mandar. Hey, it's Mandar. I just missed my bus. Would you mind if I buy this Ridgeliner, can you give me a credit for this one? Yeah, we'll get you. We're good. You can do that.
Ridgeliner is the Summit line.
Ridgeliner is the Summit line, yeah. So this would be like the governor, or like we'd have to come up with a snazzy name for this. We like, like flash, you have a little dignity, a little pride in your community.
Lancer Express.
Lancer Express. There you go. What else? Anything else?
So is there a way, how can they get, so after this, is your email, your information
Yep.
is on the scan? So they
There's
can
the
get-
QR code, but then mine,
I think there might be people who they want to talk to some of their friends and maybe want to give out your information because maybe their friends have other questions as well.
yep. So joe@boxcar.com. Boxcar Joe, that's my name. This is Boxcar Kev. That's all we go by anymore. It's just us.
And we're going to keep these at Town Hall, these extra survey cards, so if anybody, your friends didn't get them or they want to come pick them up, we're going to leave them here at Town Hall, they can come get them themselves and fill out, do their own surveys as well. And those are pretty good.
Is there a cutoff
We'll get-
time to buy a ticket?
Cutoff time to buy a ticket? No. So if a bus leaves, say that it went Livingston Mall and then you were picking up at the Circle 8 minutes later, leaves Livingston Mall at 8 a.m., you can buy that ticket at 8:08 as it's pulling into the Circle and you're boarding there.
I work right next to Grand Central. It's like if I'm looking, bus is full, 5 minutes later, somebody canceled the ticket, I can just grab that ticket and go.
Correct.
You'll get a notification if the bus is sold out that a seat is opened up on your bus.
Yeah, if you've ever booked that 4:35 p.m. in your history and the 4:35 is sold out and someone cancels and you do not have a reservation on that day, you will get a little pop-up notification that says, a seat just opened up on the 4:35 p.m. But so have 30 other people, so you have to kind of race and get to it. Wait lists will build. That's another feature that we have since justified. Thank you all very much. Thank you to the town council for having us. We really appreciate this warm welcome, and feel free to send an email with any other questions.
Yeah,